Good morning. Cindy here. Happy Earth Day, everyone. And have I got a treat for you? I am at my neighbor John's home down the street, and he has been collecting trees for over 25 years. And today we are going to take a tour of his yard, and he is going to share with us the best trees for Central Texas, and he can prove it because they are doing fantastic. I think we're going to start with maple trees. So John, tell me, why do you have all these trees here?
Well, I love trees. I love variety, and I love stuff that does well and that takes minimal effort to keep alive and that stays green and thrives and grows and is pretty and has good spring color and mostly fall color. So those things are all important to me.
Well, that is just great. And he has so many different trees, and he has a lot of maple trees. And I have always shied away from maple trees. To me, they were just too finicky, and every time I tried to plant one, they died. But John is going to prove us wrong, and he knows of some fantastic maple trees that we can grow. And so we're going to kind of move the camera over and show you our first tree, and John's going to tell us all about it. Okay, so John, tell us about this beautiful, beautiful tree here.
Well, this is my pride and joy, I guess. I bought it from a nursery in Stonewall, Texas. Uh, Big tooth maples are very hard to come by. I don't know if they're hard to grow or what, but I was happy when I found out a nursery there in Central Texas had these. Um, I bought one, brought it home in my minivan. It was probably 6 feet tall at the time, and I was happy to get it in the ground. And it's done really well ever since. It's probably 12 years old now. And big tooths are not terribly fast growing, but they are uh, wonderful trees. They're beautiful. They're hardy. They're Texas natives, and they have amazing fall color, particularly if the weather is such that it gets really cold right before the leaves change. It's among the best.
I have to
Uh,
tell you, I in the fall and winter we drive by this tree and everyone oohs and ahs at the beautiful color it turns. We just all love it. So tell us, is it fairly drought tolerant? Do you have to water
yeah,
the heck out of it?
no, it's once you get it established. Anytime you plant a tree, you need to take special care of it the first few months. But once it's in the ground and you keep your grass watered, you don't have to do any special watering. It's
All right.
drought tolerant. It's alkaline tolerant, and it's traffic street tolerant. It's a great tree. Can't go wrong.
Well, so the only issue, I guess, is going to be finding them.
Yeah, and I understand the opportunity to find it. It changes. Nurseries sometimes have them, sometimes they don't. I don't know why it's such a challenge to get them. They're very popular. Um, and we're lucky with this particular tree. It's a female tree. I guess most of the big tooth maples are male, so it creates little seed pods or winged maple seed pods, and supposedly you can take those and plant them and grow your own trees. So
Yeah, so you can
we haven't done
propagate.
that yet, but
Well, you could have a little side business propagating
yeah, that's
maple trees.
propagating maple right when I retire. Yeah, sounds good. Yeah.
And why don't you go ahead and tell us about that other great place to buy maples while we're thinking about it?
Yeah, no, I bought this from a place in Stonewall, but I'll show you some of the other trees that I have here. There's a great place up in Fort Worth called Metro Maples, and Metro Maples has the most incredible selection of not only maple trees, but they also have some ginkgo trees. If you're interested in that, talk about that. And they have the most extensive selection of Japanese maple trees that I've ever seen. So it's totally worth the visit to go see them. It's you have to actually make an appointment. You can't just show up. You have to arrange an appointment online, and someone meets you and takes you through the whole facility, and then you pick out what you want.
I'll put that
Uh,
link below so
yeah,
you guys can find it if you're interested in finding some maples. And according to John, if you get the ones that he prefers, they're going to make it. All right, so let's go look at something else.
Okay, so this is one of the varieties of the Shantung maple, which I understand originates in China. It's brought over to the United States. It's very it adapts well to Central Texas soils. It adapts to the heat, adapts to the poor soil quality, the alkaline, the high pH. So it's just an absolute. If you can't have a big tooth maple, this is my second recommendation. Um,
And are
they
these fairly slow growing, medium? What would you
I'd
say?
say they're kind of a medium, if you want to call like many of the live oaks are slow, and then maybe a weeping willow would be a fast growing tree, something in between, so kind of medium.
And
Um,
how tall is this going to get?
this one can grow up to 25 to 30
Oh,
feet.
okay, this is a big tree.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and this is one of the trees that was developed by um, Metro
That's
Maples,
beautiful.
and it's called a fire dragon shantung maple.
Wow. And it definitely gets that fiery color
Oh
in
yeah,
the fall.
yeah, outstanding. Yeah.
And it can take everything Central Texas can throw at it.
Never had
It
problems with them. Yep.
oh, that's fantastic. All right, what are you going to show us
All
next?
right, let's look down here.
So we're sticking with the maples for the
Yeah, just
first
for
part of
now.
this
Yeah.
tour.
Yeah, and you can change it up however you want in post.
So what do we have here?
So this is another Shantung maple from Metro Maples in Fort Worth. It's called a skinny dragon Shantung maple, unlike the
Huh.
first one, which is a fire dragon. So it's the same kind of fiery color in the fall, but it's the leaf structure is slightly different. So here's how it looks.
Let's see.
That's the skinny,
Okay, this is the
and
skinny.
here was the original fire dragon. So the
Okay.
skinny and then fire dragon.
Wow. And what is this one? This other name?
It's just a skinny dragon Shantung maple.
Skinny Dragon Shantung.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
How interesting.
yeah.
Awesome. Now this one is a medium grower
Yeah, probably not quite as big as a fire dragon, maybe
and
20,
gets about
20 feet, 25 feet tops. Yeah.
great. Well, it's just gorgeous. All right, let's see what you've got next.
So this is my newest addition to the jungle. This is a Griffins dragon Shantung maple, also from Metro Maples. And my wife and my daughter went up there for me and got this sight unseen. So I was happy. And it's already come out and grown, and I put it in the ground last year, and it's already grown up at least a foot. So
And why do you have all this fencing around it?
deer. Yeah, deer, although it's been less of a problem recently, but they can definitely wipe out a tree like this in no time. So
How long do you keep this on, this fencing?
I like to keep it on till maybe half the tree is outside of the reach of deer's feeding, so they can't reach it. So it's clearly not anywhere close to that now, but the previous trees, I only recently removed the fencing in the last year or so. So
So this
that
has
the
got a,
leaf, you can see out. So that's the leaf versus it's actually bigger.
it
Even though the
is,
tree
yes.
itself grows shorter, the leaves are bigger.
Huh, very interesting. Well, you sure got me interested in maples now, knowing that they are tough and can handle. So let's look at these leaves, the
Yeah.
leaf
So
on these.
so if you'll see, that's the Griffin's dragon, and here's the fire dragon, and that's the skinny dragon. So the Griffin's dragon leaves are actually a little fuller than either the fire or the skinny.
Yes. And again, medium grower and can get up to
Yeah.
20, 25
Yeah, this
feet
one
tall.
maybe, but this is the shortest of
The
the
shortest.
three. It's maybe
Okay.
15 feet.
Ah, okay.
So
And of course, when you go out there to the maple nursery, they will let you know how tall they're going to get.
yeah, absolutely.
They don't have any special needs for our soil. They can
No,
handle it.
yeah, any type, just the standard nursery will carry Shantung maples typically. But if you want cultivars like this, you'd have to go up to a place like Metro.
In
There are
Fort
other
Worth.
specialty maple places, but that's the one that I'm the most familiar with. So
Great. All right, and we're going to go see something else now.
this is my largest maple, and I planted this one probably
Wow.
about the same time that I planted the big tooth next to it.
How tall is this?
Oh my gosh. It's probably 25 feet.
25 feet. Okay,
Yeah.
so
And
we're
it's
gonna
it's
come
faster growing clearly than the big tooth next to it because they were both planted at the same time.
Say the name of this one again.
This is a Trident Maple, and then most maple have 5 fingers of the leaf, but a Trident only has 3. It looks like a little buttercup almost.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah.
Yes, that's 3-pointed leaves.
Yeah,
Very
3-pointed.
interesting.
Yep.
Trident. Okay.
Yeah, Trident Maple. And of the different maples, this one probably is the least adapted to the alkaline soils, but nevertheless, it's just done really well. So it was a try. Let's see what happens. Let's see if we can get this to work. And I've been very happy with it. So it's done a great job.
Well, it's just beautiful. And again, it changes colors in the fall.
It does. It does. And you can see it has the little wing pods on it as well.
So let's get close to the seed pods. And so when they let loose, they have the wings so they can.
Yeah, so they flutter in the wind.
Around.
The wind can disperse.
The wind takes them somewhere new.
Yeah. So this was kind of, I bought this on a lark when I was up there. It was interesting. It's unusual maple tree in the sense that it doesn't, number one, doesn't get very large, 12 to 15 feet. And the other thing is that it's not a central branching tree. It tends to spread out. So it's more of a shrub, large shrub.
It's got several trunks down here.
Yes,
like.
multi-trunk. So it's more of a shrub, but it is a maple tree. It's called a paperbark maple, and the bark is kind of papery feeling. So it does well in, and I think it does well up against the fence like it is set up right now.
So you felt like because it's got the shrub-like look, you didn't want to put it out in the yard with your big trees.
Yeah, it's definitely more of a accent up against a fence or a house type shrub. I only consider it more of a shrub, even though it's considered a tree. But it is a maple tree. So.
And this can handle drought.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Our alkaline
very
soil,
alkaline soils.
Cold
you can
heat.
See it's done really well. So.
It has. It looks fabulous.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is a Chinka Pen Oak, and they all grow differently. This one had an interesting background, but it's done well. It had some hard time starting out, but we let it grow, and it came back, and it's done really exceptional. I love the Chinka Pen kind of sawtooth leaf structure.
Let's look at that leaf.
Yeah,
they're so beautiful.
Yeah, and obviously this is a very common Central Texas option, but beautiful trees do really well in the alkaline soils, the poor soils with the a lot of the limestone. They just do really well.
How tall is this going to get?
Some Chinka Pens get 35, 40, 45 feet high.
Okay. So, and would you say it's a medium grower? Fast?
Kind of probably medium or medium to slow.
Okay, great.
So.
And no issues that you've come across so far?
None. Yeah.
Perfect.
The oak trees are, other than oak wilt, just not issues.
Hasn't hit our neighborhood yet, thank God.
Yeah, or it has. Maybe it's been localized and they were able to.
Okay.
Example of a Bur Oak tree.
Bur
and the
Oak.
Bur Oaks have, although this one I don't think has the most amazingly massive leaves. Some Bur Oak leaves are gigantic. They're like a foot long. Everything about a Bur Oak is big. Everything about it is big. They grow huge. They have huge leaves. They have huge acorns. They're exceptional Central Texas growers. They're just a massive tree. They're not a fast-growing tree, but then no oak it really is that I'm aware of. Yeah, they are a good solid option if you want something other than a live oak.
I remember having a Bur Oak at one time, and the acorn type of nut that they drop were very annoying to me because it's stepping on them. They were quite painful under your feet.
yeah, they're big and
so you felt like you had to pick them up, but there's hundreds of them. But other than that, they're a fabulous tree.
Yeah, they are. And this one, for whatever reason, I think every tree's got its, it's different. Even though it is a Bur Oak, this one doesn't put off tons and tons of the acorns.
Huh. Well,
for whatever reason.
That's good to know that they all don't do that. Okay.
I got this. This is just recently planted, like in the last couple of weeks. It's a Monterey Oak, and they do grow large, 35, 40 feet high over time. But again, it's an oak tree, so not real fast growing tree. Uh, I may be, well past retirement age by the time this thing gets big enough to enjoy it. But it's all about the long term. I think with trees, and particularly with oak trees, you got to not expect rapid returns on investment. You're going to get that over a long period of time, and maybe my grandkids will enjoy it more than me. So, but anyways, the Monterey Oak is one of the few white oaks that's adapted to the poor alkaline soils that we have here in Central Texas, and it does pretty well.
And why do you call it a white oak? Because of the bark, or?
No, that's a good question. It's known as a type of white oak. It's the only white oak that does well. Most white oaks like the more acidic soils of the east part of Texas, but this one does adapted really well to Central Texas.
And here is an example. This is a house right next door to John's. This is a mature Monterey oak. So I just wanted you to see how big they can get. And I'm sure it'll continue growing even higher. Wonderful shade tree.
All right, this is a Texas red oak. Awesome tree, native to Texas. Grows 35, 45 feet high over time. Again, not a real fast grower, but can have decent to really nice fall color. Tends to get red, and yeah, it's obviously this is a little guy, but it's got a lot of years ahead of it. But it's a beautiful tree, and there's several good examples of it in the neighborhood.
And this is a deciduous tree, correct? It does lose all its leaves.
Right. I think virtually everything we have is deciduous except for live oaks, which are theoretically evergreen, but not really.
But not really.
Yeah.
So everything we've been talking about is deciduous and will lose its leaves in the winter. Here is a beautiful example of a Texas redbud tree. Isn't that gorgeous? This is about 25 feet tall, and it's at least 20, 25 years old. Look at the shade underneath that.
Okay, so this is a Lacy Oak, and this has been in the ground about 2 years. It was about this high when I planted it, and actually has grown pretty fast for a very slow growing tree. Lacy Oaks are among the slowest of the oak trees in terms of how they grow, but this has actually done remarkably well. Yeah, I remember it was like that high. So it's unique in that it has this beautiful blue-green foliage. The leaves are just beautiful. They just have a good solid color to them. It's not terribly interesting fall color-wise. The leaves don't have a real amazing fall color to them, but I just love the blue-green look to them.
And I think they give it the name Lacy Oak because of the bark.
Yeah.
The way it kind of breaks up, and somebody thought it looked like lace.
Yeah, that's right. And we'll talk about another tree that kind of uses that
same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so that's it with the oak trees. We talked about maple, we talked about oak. This is a elm tree. And there's two really good elm trees that I would use in Central Texas, and this is probably my favorite of the two. This is a lace bark elm, and it has that lacy bark, kind of like the Lacy Oak. It has that lacy bark on the elm tree. It's just solid. It has very few problems, very few pests. Is adapted to alkaline soils. It's drought tolerant, as are all the trees we looked at today. Is a very good shade tree and is medium to fast growing. So it's really it's a good option.
Just beautiful. Great shade tree.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a little closer so you can see two things that I noticed. So this is lace bark elm, and look at this interesting bark on here. Very much, I guess you could think of it like a lace, especially up here. Look how interesting that is. And another thing John was telling me is this is an exceptional climbing tree, and it was a favorite perch of one of his cats. Look at that neat little spot you can imagine yourself getting into.
Yeah, it's
Great climbing tree. So lace bark elm. Great. All right, John, what is this beautiful tree?
so this is a kind of sycamore called a Mexican sycamore. And this tree is the largest tree in terms of height on our property. It's got to be 50 feet high. It's humongous. I remember when I first planted it, we brought it home, like we did many of our trees back then, in a minivan, and it was probably only, I don't know, an inch and a half in diameter trunk. Now it's gigantic. It's, 20, probably about 20 years old, and fast growing. Sycamores are fast growing, drought tolerant. Um, they have a tendency to lose their leaves if it dries up a little bit. That doesn't hurt them, but they'll lose a lot of their leaves, and the leaves are a little bit of trouble to maintain. They maintain their shape over a long period of time, and they can really clutter up your yard. So you have to kind of do a little extra maintenance to keep it clean when it gets real hot and it hasn't rained in a while. But other than that, they're really good. They're beautiful. Um, yeah, I think they also like to spread their roots out and crack your sidewalk, which you can see it did over there.
Okay.
So
So they are a big root tree. So that is kind of a downfall. As I can see, you've kind of got a hump going on here.
yeah, exactly.
And so thinking about sewer, you want to keep them away from any
Probably
plumbing
good plan. Yeah.
before you put them in. But what a magnificent tree. And the leaves are bigger than a man's hand. They are just huge. They're so high up, I can't get a hold of one, but
Yeah.
very, very impressive. And I love that white bark showing through.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Exfoliating is what they call it.
Exfoliating.
Yeah. Right, so this tree behind me is a Mexican plum tree, and Mexican plum trees are extremely hardy. They're beautiful. They have a real rugged bark structure. They are not very large trees. This one's probably 15, maybe 20 feet tops. There may be examples taller than that, but they tend to be smaller. They're considered to be very good understory trees, which means they tend to grow well under the shade of other much larger trees. Although they'll grow fine without being shaded, they tend to do particularly well if they are shaded. They have the most amazing uh, spring blossom flower that they put out, and it smells amazing, and the bees love it.
Wow.
Beautiful tree. Doesn't have much of a fall color to it, but great springtime blooms. If it's a bad thing, just one of the things you have to tolerate. They have thorns. They have really massive thorns. So if kids are near there, you'd want to definitely trim off the thorns on the lower portion of the tree so it doesn't injure somebody.
And as I get a little closer to the bark, you can see it's a very rough bark tree.
Yeah, very. Yeah, it's a beast of a tree. It's real.
Beast of a tree.
Yeah.
That's a good word for it.
Very rugged.
Rugged, but
Yeah.
I love that this one has a double branch tree.
It's a Mexican plum, so you can see the plums. It also puts out the little plums out there. You can see it's loaded up with those.
Am I getting one? There. Wow, look at that.
Yeah.
Can you eat these?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Eat.
So this is an Arizona cypress tree. Again, extremely drought tolerant, beautiful. Of all the trees on our property, this is my wife's favorite. She loves this tree. It's long lived. It's slow growing. Like I said, Arizona cypress. I think the variation is like a ice blue or something. I forget what they call it. But yeah, she likes it.
Isn't that beautiful? Fir tree. And we can have these here in
Yeah,
Central
Cypress.
Texas.
Yeah.
Like a little Christmas tree.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's beautiful. I love that gray-green color.
Yeah. This is a Prairie Flame Leaf sumac, and it's Central Texas native. Um, this one grew up on its own. I didn't plant it. We used to have one over here, and I think it maybe got too cold or something and froze back. But they grow readily with impunity. They're pretty. They have real nice fall color. Red, flame. That's what I call it, a flame leaf. It looks like flame. You see them commonly. Um, yeah, they're good hardy trees, and I've never bothered to plant one because they're always readily available coming out of the ground anyway.
So would you say they're invasive or just
No, no,
not
not. They're
invasive?
natural. They're native.
They just kind
Yeah,
of show up.
yeah,
Birds deposit a seed
yeah.
and
I think they're well received. You can buy them at the nursery. I always laugh when I see them because it's like, wow, we got those growing in our back. You just like, here's another one. Pull it out.
yeah.
So I
So
wouldn't
for
say
you, they're
invasive. They're
weeds.
native.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is an eastern redbud, and the cultivar is Merlot. It's just kind of because the leaves are kind of that reddish color, and I just thought it was striking. It does well. It's tolerant of. It's relatively drought tolerant, although it requires a little extra watering. Um, not pretty much everything else in our backyard is is uh, doesn't require anything additional uh, irrigation, but this tree will throw a couple gallons of water in dry times just to keep it going every other day. Um, and it just has a real beautiful coloration. And then in springtime, it has the red, it's a red bud tree, so it has a little red blossoms all over it.
Red
For the
flowers.
flowers, yeah, yeah.
And it stays this color all year round?
Uh, the
Other
red
than
kind
when
of, I think, as the summer goes, it starts to fade into kind of a green, kind of a dark green.
oh,
But when they come out, and they stays this way for a while. So
just gorgeous. And this is a fairly short tree.
yeah, red buds are not very big trees, 15 feet, 20 feet maybe in
More of
some
an
examples. So,
ornamental.
yeah, definitely more of an ornamental type tree. Yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah.
Okay. So
So,
while we're right here, let's talk about this ornamental tree that
oh,
we all know and
the
love.
Texas mountain laurel. Yeah, yeah. Texas mountain laurels are hard to go wrong with. Except they're extremely slow growing. They have amazing spring flowers, that grape kind of smell. Just can't beat it.
I'll put a picture of the flowering version up here on the screen.
Yeah, yeah. So we unfortunately don't have them right now, but they are beautiful. So this is a Vitex. We have a couple of them. This one here, a little bit smaller, the one a little larger over there. They have real pretty purple blossoms, extremely drought tolerant, uh, adapted to Central Texas, do really, really well. I can't recall if they're native.
They're not native, but they are highly adapted.
Okay. And they're just really, really easy plants. They are. We haven't really trimmed this one up. You can trim it up into a tree form and make it look real amazing. We kind of the uh, idea was to just let it kind of grow out and do its thing. Kind of create a little bit of a screen. Um, Actually, if I had to do it, I might have just planted a bunch of these all the way around the
Yeah.
circle. Just have this massive screen of these. So they do a real
Yeah.
good job, and you don't have to mess with them.
And
So
this one is covered with buds right now. It's about to really
yeah,
explode with those purple flowers.
yeah, yeah,
All right, and then while we're here, let's talk about this beauty, which is another great option for our area.
yeah.
What is this?
This is a desert willow, and I was trying to remember the variation of it. Bubba's. I think it's called a Bubba's desert willow. That's what this is.
And because the flower is more purple or more white?
I don't know why they call it a Bubba's, but yeah, it's just easy to grow. Has these amazing flowers that you see up here on the right hand side. There's one coming out.
Oh, here's some.
Yeah.
Yes, look at this.
And this whole tree will be covered with those. It's
Yes,
just now
isn't
coming
that
out.
beautiful? And the butterflies and the bees
Yeah.
and the hummingbirds just go nuts over
Yeah,
this tree.
this tree just doesn't require much effort at all to keep it going. Yeah. And yeah, good option for a tree that you don't have to really mess with.
And we have to talk about this beautiful tree you're standing in front of. Tell us what this is.
Well, this is behind me is a live oak, and obviously live oaks are probably the most common trees of Central Texas. It was here when we bought the house. It was about half the size when we bought the house, but it's a beautiful tree. We bought the house about 25 years ago, and it's grown some. Live oaks are not fast-growing trees, but they're beautiful. They have unusual branching. They branch in all directions. They're hard to tame. They kind of do their own thing. They have a uniqueness to them that most trees don't. They're just yeah. You have to be willing to not have a upright specimen. You have to be willing to let the trees go and grow the way they want to. So
John, if I was interested in buying one of these beautiful trees, where would you recommend I go?
well, I've gotten many of the trees that I've purchased over the years from a nursery in Austin called Barton Springs Nursery off Barton Springs Road. The people that work there usually know their stuff. The trees, specimens that they have are among the best I've found in the Austin area. It was a little bit of a jaunt for us to drive down there, but it's totally worth it. And usually, whatever vehicle we took down there, we stuffed it full of stuff to bring back. And they have a really good selection and knowledgeable people that work there. So, yeah.
I totally agree. That's my favorite nursery.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, John, for giving us this wonderful tour of the beautiful trees on your property. I know you have been at this for over 20 years, and it is just amazing to walk around underneath these beautiful trees. The canopies of most of the trees are now touching each other. So when you walk around under here, you feel like you have escaped to a most beautiful place. The zen, I feel my heart, my blood pressure just drops when I'm here. It's just gorgeous. And so on this beautiful Earth Day, I hope that I have inspired you all to go out and find a tree, plant a tree today. You can see which ones to plant, and I will give a little shout out to the Texas Native the Texas Native Landscape Plants booklet. It's by Grow Green. You can find these at all the better nurseries. They're free, or you can go online to www.growgreen.org and order yourself one for $2. So this has almost every tree that John talked about on 2 pages full of beautiful trees. And I think that you can't go wrong with a native tree. They're going to make it in this difficult climate. So thank you again. This has been just the best experience to get to walk around out here. I really appreciate it.
No, you're welcome.
And so you all get out in your gardens and plant a tree. Happy Earth Day. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.